In Ecuador, after a month protesting teachers' guilds, students and other social movements demonstrated in several localities of the country to protest against the measures taken by the government of Guillermo Lasso. Nigeria is confronting a rise of new COVID-19 cases blamed on the Delta variant, first detected in the country in early July. And dozens of people reported death in Russia, Algeria, Italy and Greece. Millions of hectares of forest destroyed by the flames. From the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada, and now we begin with the news. In Ecuador, after a month protesting teachers' guilds, students and other social movements demonstrated in several localities of the country to protest against the measures taken by the government of Guillermo Lasso. The mobilizations, called by Federation of University Students and the National Union of Educators, covered 8 important road arteries in the provinces of Guayas, the Rivers and St. Helena, as well as other areas of the country. And now we move on to Brazil, where student organizations demonstrated on Wednesday against budget cuts in the education sector and in rejection of the government of Jair Bolsonaro. On the occasion of the Students' Day, the National Union of Students called for mobilizations to denounce the budget cuts in the universities, which leave those institutions in a state of emergency, without resources and at risk of closing doors. The students' organizations also warn about the omission of the Ministry of Education, which does not present investment projects for the sector, nor proposals and resources to adapt the schools for the safe return to classes. And the foreign ministers of 9 countries hold a virtual meeting convened by Panama in order to seek solutions to the migration crisis in the so-called Darien Plug from the Gulf of Urabá. The diplomats are to discuss cross-border cooperation and the timely exchange of information to provide specific responses and definitive measures regarding the wave of people crossing their borders without prior permission. This meeting was preceded by bilateral Colombian and Panamanian meetings where they agreed to regulate the number of people crossing the common border through the hostile Darien jungle, most of them heading to the United States. And the plenary of the Colombian Senate approved on Tuesday the ACES, the intervention of former Colombian military in mercenary operations in the world, and also, in particular, the assassination that took place in Haiti on July. The Ministers of National Defense, Diego Molano Aponte, and of Foreign Affairs, Marta Lucía Ramírez, as well as the Superintendent of Surveillance and Private Security, Orlando Alfonso Clavijo, were summoned to a debate on political control. The officials must disclose the measures adopted by the government of President Iván Duque to prevent the participation of retired Colombian military personnel in mercenary activities abroad that may threaten the sovereignty of other states. In Venezuela, authorities of the electoral power received a representation of the Special Commission for Dialogue, Peace and National Reconciliation of the National Assembly. After the meeting, members of parliament expressed their support to the process of preparation and auditing for the upcoming November elections. The vice president of the commission, Luis Martinez, stated that they received a detailed explanation of the voting, counting and final tallying process fully warranted for the regional elections. In this context, a sector of the Venezuelan opposition announced its participation in the dialogue process with the Bolivarian government to be held in Mexico. The leader of the right-wing party Justicia Primero, Justice First, Enrique Capriles, explained that the opposition delegation will include the Secretary General of that political organization, Tomás Guanipa. Despite maintaining serious differences with the national government and being part of the stabilizing processes, the opposition leadership will seek to participate in the negotiations which aim, among other things, to reach agreements regarding economic and social issues. In Chile, during the vote on the pardon bill for the political prisoners of the 2019 social unrest, demonstrators changed themselves to fences and tried to storm La Moneda presidential palace. A score of demonstrators arrived at La Moneda palace to demonstrate in favor of the bill to pardon the so-called prisoners of the revolt. In its social networks, the Coordinating Assembly of High School Students explained that the demonstrators changed themselves together, demanding the modification and approval of the Pardon Act. And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Nigeria is confronting a rise of new COVID-19 cases blamed on the Delta variant, first detected in the country in early July. The 7-day rolling average of daily new cases in the country has more than doubled over the past 2 weeks, according to data collected by Johns Hopkins University. In recent days, extra vaccines have been arriving into the country, including over 4 million doses of the Moderna vaccine, supplied by the U.S.
Have micro plans based on the population and the target population. We are going to ensure that these vaccines get to every nook and cranny of the FCT. The problem is not getting the vaccines to the people. The actual challenge is the people accepting this vaccine. It's one thing for us to take the vaccine to them, and it's another thing for them to come out and access this vaccine. So there are logistics in place to take these vaccines to all the area councils in the FCT.
The Pan American Health Organization on Wednesday announced a new initiative for member states to acquire COVID-19 vaccines at competitive prices and prices that countries can afford.
Pleased to announce that PAHO is offering our member states a new opportunity to access COVID-19 vaccines. The revolving fund is now receiving requests for countries in the region for COVID-19 vaccines for the last 3 months of 2021 and for the calendar year 2022. So far, more than 20 countries have formally expressed interest, and the number is growing by the day. And here's why this is so important. The revolving fund is a mechanism for providing high-quality vaccines at competitive prices and prices that countries can afford.
And Haiti Health Minister Laure Adrian said Wednesday some 16,000 people in Haiti have been vaccinated and that all of the country's 10 departments have received a supply of vaccines.
We started 3 weeks ago. We have 16,000 people that received the vaccines. Yes, we had promises and have assurance other vaccines are coming, specifically the Pfizer vaccine. Our goal is to get 62% of the population vaccinated, or 7.3 million people.
And the World Health Organization said it will soon begin testing 3 drugs currently used against other diseases to see if they might help patients suffering from the coronavirus. The UN Health Agency said the drugs will be adapted into the next phase of its ongoing global research into identified potential treatments anti-COVID-19. The drugs being tested were chosen by an independent panel based on the likelihood they could prevent deaths in people hospitalized for serious coronavirus. They include artesunate, a malaria drug, the cancer drug imatinib, and infliximab, currently used in people with diseases of the immune system.
And we need health workers that are We already have many tools to prevent, test for, and treat COVID-19, including oxygen, dexamethasone, and IL-6 blockers. But we need more for patients at all ends of the clinical spectrum, from mild to severe disease, And we need health workers that are trained to use them in a safe environment.
Libya launches its largest COVID-19 vaccination center in the capital Tripoli in an effort to speed up inoculations and catch up with the rising number of cases.
Vaccination points. The vaccination center is considered the largest in North Africa and in the whole of Africa. It was opened to allow the vaccination of as many Libyans as possible to protect them from the coronavirus. We call on the people to get vaccinated at the center. Vaccines and doctors are still available. The center is open from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening. We hope to be able to vaccinate between 2,000 and 3,000 people today.
And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Dozens of people are reported dead in Russia, Algeria, Italy and Greece, as well as millions of hectares of forests have been destroyed by the flames. Forest fires continue to tear through Siberia as Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered officials to send in reinforcements on the ground to try to control the situation. The death toll from the fires ranging in the northwest Kabylia region of Algeria since last Monday has risen to 69. Numerous fires are still active on the Greek island of Evia, while in Turkey there is only one fire left in the western province of Mugla. Meanwhile, in southern Italy, especially in Sicily and Calabria, army officers have been deployed to help fight the fires. Temperatures hit 47 degrees Celsius near Syracuse, with meteorologists warning that Italy's all-time record of 48.5 degrees in Sicily in 1999 could be beaten. The Italian Health Ministry issued red alerts for extreme heat in the areas in and around the cities of Rome, Bari, Rieti and Campobasso. It is expected that by Sunday the current heat wave will start to subside. Rescue teams are making progress in the evacuation of a Turkish hospital that was affected by the floods as a result of the sudden rains of the last few days. Turkey's health ministry, Fahrettin Koca, reported that out of 45 patients, 4 are in intensive care. Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu reported that water levels had reached 3 to 4 meters, forcing locals to take shelter on the rooftops where they were being evacuated by helicopter. And President Edgar Lungu seeks to reassure Zambians that he has taken adequate measures to ensure a peaceful day of voting as citizens head to the polls in tomorrow's elections. Lungu was addressing supporters at his Patriotic Front, the PF, the party's final virtual rally in Lusaka, during which he also called on all parties to accept the election results. Campaigning was winding down Wednesday on the eve of Zambia's tightly fought presidential and legislative elections being held against the backdrop of tough economic conditions. In China, a provincial court sentenced a Canadian citizen to 11 years in prison on charges of espionage. The Intermediate People's Court of the northeastern town of Dandong today sentenced Canadian Michael Spavor for providing state secrets to foreign forces. The Canadian Foreign Ministry's reaction was not long in coming, and he declared his rejection of the conviction and assured that the Canadian government is working with the United States government to achieve Spavor. In Russia, a helicopter carrying 16 tourists and crew on sightseeing crashed into a lake on Thursday, leaving 8 people, including a child, feared dead and 2 others in serious conditions. Local authorities said the Mi-8 helicopter crash-landed into the icy waters of Kuril Lake in the mountainous Kamchatka Peninsula in poor visibility and sank. Staff of the Kronotosky Nature Reserve dispatched boats to the crash site and saved 8 people, 2 of whom are now in intensive care with various injuries. 8, including the only child on board and the crew commander, were missing and feared dead. A preliminary hearing was held on Wednesday in London after the U.S. government appealed a decision earlier this year to prevent the extradition of Julian Assange to the United States to face espionage charges there. Arriving at the hearing, Assange's partner, Stella Morris, accused the U.S. of exploiting the inherently unfair extradition agreements in order to arbitrarily prolong the imprisonment of an innocent man accused of practicing journalism. Britain's extradition agreement with the U.S. says that the process can be blocked if, by reason of the person's mental or physical condition, it will be unjust or oppressive to extradite him. The prosecution of WikiLeaks founder has been condemned by journalists and human rights groups who say it undermines free speech and imperils journalists. And until fraud in the 2019 elections as the regional body failed to carry out a real audit. The OAS rejection of the 2019 electoral process played a major role in coup that ousted former Bolivian President Evo Morales. However, although irregularities with the OAS report have been denounced even by U.S. lawmakers such as Bernie Sanders, the Bolivian Attorney General demonstrated that there was no investigation to support any of the claims. Chavez's statements comes after this Monday, August 9th, the OAS ratified the findings of irregularities in the 2019 electoral process, a document rejected by the Bolivian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.